Have you ever asked yourself, am I having a spiritual awakening? Well, here's the number one sign you are having a spiritual awakening in 2020 and you do not even know it. This is Jake Ducey with JakeDucey.com, and let's dive right into this video. If you have not subscribed yet, be sure to hit the subscribe button right over there and hit the bell notification, because that's what's going to notify you for new videos. Subscribe, bell notification. Let's get right to the video. Okay, today I'm feeling so grateful because this sign that I'm about to share with you changed my entire life. I went from a confused college dropout to building my dream life, my dream business, attracting my soulmate, and more than all of that stuff, finding true happiness within myself. And it was all from this one sign that no one would talk about, no one would tell me about, and that's mostly because most people have not really had that type of spiritual awakening yet. And so this is so powerful when you really start to be like, oh, I get it, the universe is speaking to me, I'm having a spiritual awakening, and here's what's occurring. So let's go right into that. So the number one sign is that you kind of just start to not care as much about the outer world. You know, all of us have our own ways, but we're so attached to the outer world. For some people, it's validation from others, so they live their whole lives doing what their mother or their father or their grandmother or their grandfather or their uncle or their aunt or some successful person that they saw, or they're trying to get their friends and approval and be cool. They're so motivated by pleasing other people. For others, they're so motivated to get shiny objects because they think that's what will make them finally be validated and cool, and other people will acknowledge them. It's like that old quote from Fight Club, is that we buy things we can't afford with money we don't have to impress people we don't know. And for some of us, we're just confused, so we do what everyone else tells us to do. For some of us, we're so obsessed with the way that we look that it causes us a constant state of anxiety, even if we're really good looking, because we're trying so hard to constantly look better. Now, there's all these ways that we do it. And what happens when you start to have a spiritual awakening is you stop to care as much about the outer world. That's the number one sign. And what begins to occur is you say, why am I doing what I'm doing? Yeah, I don't really get it. We start metaphorically scratching our head. Why do I care so much about what they think? Why am I on this career path? Why am I doing this? So for me, that came as a freshman in college in economics class, and I asked my teacher why we couldn't audit the Federal Reserve, who prints and controls the US dollar. Seemed like a reasonable question in economics class, especially. It was about 2009 at that time, maybe 2008, 2009, 2010, something like that. And so we had, and we're still in the middle of the last big economic recession. And he told me to be quiet. And so I was like, why am I here? And for the next few weeks, I was lying in bed in my college dorm room or sitting in class, and I was just asking myself, what am I doing? Why am I doing this? And the only answer that I could come up with was because it was going to make my mom and my dad and my family happy, and everyone said this is what you need to do to be successful. It's the only way you're going to be successful. You got to go to school, you got to get your business degree, and you got to do these things. Now, that's true for many people, but I started questioning if that was an absolute truth. And I was like, I don't know about this. And I started questioning that. And I used to go, what would I do with my life? I went out, I was in college, so, at least a few nights a week going out partying, and you're trying to impress people to get a cool girlfriend or whatnot. And I stopped going out to parties, and I stopped socializing. I said, why am I even doing this stuff? Because I'm trying to be cool. I'm trying to get other people's approval. I'm trying to fit in with the right groups and the right people. I said, why am I doing this? And I didn't know the answer. So I quit doing it. And it went through all these phases where I quit I quit focusing on the outside world and I started going within myself. And ultimately that led me to drop out of college, backpack around the world. I wrote my first book, Into the Wind, about backpacking around the world. That led to a couple other books published by Penguin Random House. And it was this constant process of not caring about the outside world. And you may be relating to that, and it kind of makes you feel like you're crazy a little bit, because then other people start doubting you. Like when I decided I was going to leave school, everyone said, well, you're not going to be successful. You're going to ruin your life, and soon you're going to be destitute and all these things. And I said, well, maybe so, maybe not. But this is where this inner voice is speaking to me. And most people aren't listening to their inner voice. They're listening to outer criticism and outer information. And then when I backpacked around the world and then I decided to write a book, I heard those voices even louder. Hey, bad idea, bad idea, bad idea. Nobody's successful writing books. You're not going to make any money. You're going to waste your time. Besides, you can't even write, which I couldn't. And it was like this constant thing. And I was like, well, even if it doesn't work out, this is what's speaking to me from within myself. And I went and did that thing, and no one would publish a book, so I self-published. But then the number one publisher in the world, Penguin Random House, published my next 2 books, and it became a career. And so on the other side of everyone else's opinions and seeking all these outside things, there's this little voice that might be speaking to you. That's the number one sign you're starting to have an awakening, that you're like, all my friends are going out to this thing on Friday night. I always go out. I feel like staying at home and reading or meditating or watching this guy Jake Ducey's YouTube videos, or I feel like working on my dreams, or I just don't really feel like it. And we start to really question our lives and the things that we're doing with our time. Now, this is scary for a lot of people because change is scary. The brain doesn't like change. So the brain resists spiritual awakenings. And then other people peg you as, you're just being weird. What are you doing with your life? Hey, you're going to ruin everything that you've done. Hey, come on, you only live once. That's right. I only live once, so I need to make sure that I do the things that really are calling me and fulfilling me in life, so I don't look back and say I wasted my whole life. So if you're starting to not care as much about all these things around you, it's not that you're becoming resigned to life. It's that these things no longer have as much meaning to you, whatever it is. And it's moving you inward to find your own truth, to find your new values, to find your new direction in life, to find your higher calling. Now, don't be afraid. Comment down below, Spirit always manifests itself perfectly. Comment down below, Spirit always manifests itself perfectly. Seriously, please, comment that down below. Spirit always manifests itself perfectly. Now, that's in your subconscious mind now that you wrote it down. And this is so important. Spirit always manifests itself perfectly. What does this mean? So you may be doubting yourself. You may be like, hey, maybe on Saturdays and Sundays, I'm going to start working on my dream business, on my first book, on my side project. I'm going to start learning the guitar. I'm going to pick singing back up again. I'm going to start building my nonprofit I've always wanted to do. I'm going to do that side project or go back to school. But you're like, should I really do it? Because I'm already have this job Monday through Friday, and I don't know if this will work out and I'll waste my time. But Spirit never manifests itself other than perfectly. It always manifests itself perfectly. And so when you have this thing calling you from within yourself, and outside things are they're not mattering to you quite as much. Maybe you were obsessed with trying to get shiny objects because you were told to do that. And now all of a sudden you're like, why? I don't really want them anymore. I want to go do this thing. I want to go travel around the world. Great, because Spirit never manifests itself other than perfectly. You might be afraid to leave that thing behind. But you go travel around the world, and then it turns into you becoming this fantastic travel blogger that makes a bunch of money travel blogging. Then you end up making more money doing the thing that you love. And Spirit was pushing you this way because it wants to use you as an instrument to share your story and inspire others to go see the world. Right? It doesn't matter. But the real thing is Spirit speaking to you. Because when Spirit speaks to you, when God speaks to you, when the universe speaks to you, there's great things over there. So the number one sign is things aren't mattering as much. You're getting new priorities. And often they're your own priorities. So often most of the priorities that we have in our life aren't our priorities because we're programmed growing up. In fact, until the time you're about 6 years old, the mind is essentially in a brainwave state akin to hypnosis. So you're just accepting everything from outside of yourself. Here's what you're going to do with your life. Here's your values. Here's your religion. Here's your political views. We just accept them from our parents, our guardians, our world around us. And they're not really our priorities. They're programmed into us. They're like a record player. And then all of a sudden you start to say, do I really like that? Is that really what my life's about? Is this really who I want to be? Is this really what's important to me? And it's this calling to shape your life the way that you want. Remember, you're a spiritual being in a physical body. Comment that down below. I'm a spiritual being in a physical experience. I'm a spiritual being in a physical experience. You're a spiritual being in a physical experience. The point of your life is to find happiness, joy, to build your own life, to find freedom, to express your truths. And sometimes old structures and ideas fall away. That's fine. That's great. It's a number one sign that you're on the right path to a spiritual awakening. So this is Jake Ducey with JakeDucey.com reminding you that you're a powerful being and that you're here in order to learn, grow, evolve, that you're here to find your own truth, your own joy, and that Spirit always manifests itself perfectly, that it has a higher destiny and calling for you in life, and it's time that you trust it. So hit the subscribe button, the bell notification right over there. And if you haven't yet, make sure that you download my free success hypnosis, jakeshypnosis.com, right there down below, to train your subconscious mind for success and abundance, to get rid of all the negative limiting thoughts and outside influences that might have you doubting yourself, doubting your calling, doubting the way that Spirit is speaking to you to move in a new direction. It's jakeshypnosis.com. It's free, and it'll reprogram your subconscious mind to attract success and abundance more easily into your life. Over 250,000 people from all over the world have used it, and every day I get these amazing stories. Love to hear your success story with it too. So jakeshypnosis.com, right there down below. Comment down below. Spirit always manifests itself perfectly. I will see you on the next video.